Welcome to the Dr. OK Show with SmackDown from Brooklyn, New York, where our main headline is just keep taking the food off of the Bloodline's table. But we'll get to that in a minute, so first let's go to the news and just keep ruining an epic rivalry with a special guest referee. Yeah. So LA Knight ruins this match by taking out both Andrade and Carmelo Hayes with BFTs and then goes to ring the bell in the timekeeper's area to make this one a no contest. But Carmelo Hayes is the ones here as he somehow is able to prove his #1 strength is surviving a killer offense, but he did have a roll-up that should have gone for a 3 count had Knight been paying attention and actually counted the pin. But Andrade is the twos, landing an amazing springboard Spanish fly and a devastating destroyer that somehow did not put Hayes away. And LA Knight is the threes here. I don't know what he was doing, over-refereeing this entire match all the way through, completely ruining the flow of what has been an amazing rivalry between these two men. And I guess you could say he was impartial and impartially bad against both men. And of course, he hit those 2 BFTs to completely ruin the match. But Nick Aldis, backstage, at least made up for it a little bit by declaring that these 3 men will have a triple threat match for the US Championship at Crown Jewel. For Hayes, he goes to 5-8-2 in one-on-one matches and picks up 2 STFs, both of which are suspensions. First, a 2-week suspension for super kicking Knight with some absolutely terrible aim, when it seems like he really should have hit Andrade if he wanted to, but maybe he didn't, so who knows if it was on purpose or not. Nonetheless, a 2-week suspension. He also will get another 1-week suspension for grabbing Knight at the end of the match, spinning him around, but he's the one that paid getting that BFT. But Andrade will also pick up an STF as he swung and missed at Knight before Knight then landed a BFT on him, so Andrade will just get a 1-week suspension for trying to attack the referee. Now Knight himself, he will not get any STS because he is allowed to do all of those crazy things that he did with the power of a WWE referee. And for absolutely destroying what should have been an amazing conclusion to this rivalry, we have no choice but to give this one double not okay. Secondly, just keep annoying your partner until she cashes in on you with the Money in the Bank briefcase, which is what Nia did when she told Tiffy that she was calling in the bullpen and having Candice take her place to face Naomi. But Naomi is the ones here as she hit a full Nelson bomb and turned it into a rather bootylicious pinning combination to pick up the win after Bayley evened the odds on Indy Hartwell. But Candice will be the twos as she could not take advantage of Indy's help when she slammed Naomi up against the ring post and was caught unaware when Bayley showed up, leading directly to the finish. For Naomi, she has won 3 straight one-on-one matches all this month and improves to 7-5-2. But for Candice, this was her first televised match since July 5th, and she falls to 2-2 in one-on-one action. And Indy got involved throwing Naomi off of the ring post, but she paid for it when Bayley threw her against the barricade. But Indy will get her 4th fine, and we'll have to give this one an okay. In our 3rd match, just keep Ciampa calm or it'll go wrong, as DIY battled in a mirror match against the Motor City Machine Guns to determine the #1 contender for the WWE Tag Team Championships. And this time, MCMG is the ones as they looked much crisper than they did in their debut match last week. And they landed the Skull and Bones finisher to get the win and become the #1 contender. DIY is the twos as Ciampa was off of his game the entire match, and maybe he was just frustrated by seeing Gargano and Shelley have a technical display at the beginning of the match. And then it ended up costing them as Gargano accidentally super kicked Ciampa off of the apron that set up the finish. For MCMG, they go to 2-0 in 2 weeks, and DIY is right back down to 500 at 6-6-1, and I guess this was fine, so we will give it an okay. And in the main event, we go back to our headline of just keep taking the food off of the Bloodline's table, but this was not Solo Sikoa's fault, as he brilliantly coaxed MCMG into having a title match right there after they were already tired from facing DIY. And even with Aldis in the middle of the ring trying to persuade the Machine Guns not to take this match after they had just fought DIY, well, they not very smartly took the match anyways, and at the same time bailed out Aldis for only booking 3 matches in the night. So he's really lucky that they accepted and got it back to a normal 4-match card. And there was so much chaos that the Motor City Machine Guns are the ones and your new WWE Tag Team Champions, as they simply picked the skull and bones of the Bloodline after everybody was in a civil war, and they got the win to become your new tag team champ. But Tonga and Loa are the twos, as they could not have forecasted Jey Uso to come out of the crowd and completely wipe them out, with Jey landing a super kick and then throwing Loa over the announce table, followed by another super kick on Tonga, hitting him twice with a steel chair, and then finishing him off with a spear that led to that Skull and Bones finisher. For the Machine Guns, they amazingly go to 3-0 in 2 weeks, so congratulations, you have a WWE 2K Create a Team generic team as your new tag team champions. And I think if I cut my hair just a little bit shorter, that I could do a pretty good imitation as a much better looking Sabin. But for Tonga and Loa, they had 2 successful title defenses, and they dropped to 3-1 in all tags. And of course, we had STFs all over the place. First, during the commercial break, that we could see in a very small box in the corner, that Jacob Fatu slapped Shelly while he was caught in the ropes. But of course, that was pretty insignificant to Jimmy Uso pulling his favorite stunt, coming out in a hoodie. Yet again, he yanked Sikoa off of the apron and then threw him up against the ring post, and everything broke down from there. And Jimmy Uso, for starting all of this, will pick up his 4th fine of the year. But as the match continued, we had Tama Tonga grabbing the referee and using him as a shield to prevent a back elbow that caused the ref to be down on the mat for quite some time. However, Tonga will have to get a 2-week suspension. And lastly, it was our second hoodied figure, Jey Uso, coming out of the crowd and taking out Longa and then Toa to immediately and directly cause a change in the WWE titles. So Jey will have to get a 1-month suspension for this unbelievable interference. And of course, as always, he was not allowed to show up here, so that will get our standard 2-week suspension for Jey, and he is now quickly racking up these suspensions by showing up on SmackDown, so he gets his 2nd and 3rd suspensions of the year. But I guess for him, maybe it was worth it, because he gets back at the Bloodline for maybe costing him the IC title on Monday Night Raw, but more importantly, for finally hugging it out with Jimmy Uso in the middle of the ring to end the show. So I guess for all of this chaos, we did get a title change, so we'll give it an okay. And beyond the mat, first here in my double wedding weekend that I had to spend with the SportsZu, well, I kept having this pain in my stomach linger and linger, so it really ruined things. And then after the plane trip home, I also had a case of the sniffles, which are still lingering right now. But nonetheless, that pain in the stomach started to go away after Randy Orton convinced Triple H to book the match for Kevin Owens against Orton at Crown Jewel. So hopefully that will get things better, and since Orton did such a masterful job to make this match happen, it gets an okay. But later, Gunther wanted to see what Cody Rhodes' real reason for winning the Crown Jewel Championship was, so Gunther said that his reason was to prove that he was the best wrestler, but Rhodes admitted that he is dramatic and a messy king. A messy king? That's your reason for teaming up with your biggest enemy and hurting the feelings of your beat-up buddy friend Kevin Owens? No, dude. That's just not gonna fly here. That is pathetic. And so I think Gunther had a point when he said that you were a gutless champion, but Rhodes just said that having guts was being the one to take the first shot, so he stomped on his foot and then slapped him. And so the two tussled for a little bit, but Ludwig Kaiser showed up, so there was a double team, but that quickly was put to rest when Orton showed up and cleared the ring of both members of Imperium. Well, Cody Rhodes, for instigating this fight, you are picking up your 9th fine, and as WWE Champion, it is really sad to see that you have the 3rd most STFs on SmackDown of any man on the roster who is not in the Bloodline. That's just not an acceptable way to go for a true WWE champion. And for that, we are gonna have to give this a not okay. We also saw Damage Control, Chelsea and Piper, and Lash and Jakara all backstage arguing for a moment when the 3 general managers spoke up with Jade and Bianca in attendance, saying that there would be a fatal 4-way tag team match for the women's tag championships at Crown Jewel. And for some reason, Jade and Bianca were happy about this because they want to take care of all of them at the same time. I think Corey Graves correctly pointed out that Jade and Bianca lost the championships the first time in a triple threat match to the Unholy Union, and it just might be a case of deja vu here for Crown Jewel. So for this incredibly horrific booking where we have Damage Control who just could not get the job done against Jade and Bianca, Chelsea and Piper, who have not had a match since the end of May, and Lash and Jakara, who have been a mediocre NXT tag team who already had a tag team championship match just a few weeks ago, getting this shot at a PLE. Not okay. And lastly, yeah, Roman Reigns did indeed show up and he helped out Big Jim get Fatu and Sikoa to the back, but yet again, he had nothing to do with Jey Uso showing up and finishing it off, so the Bloodline lost more food off of their table, and this happened just 1 week after Roman literally said no yeet in the middle of the ring. So now this just sounds like Roman's going to stumble into some good luck to help him ward off the rest of the Bloodline. But that's not a different segment from earlier, so no additional grade. Even though my double wedding weekend was ruined by the pain in my stomach, it feels good right now, so it must be good to get all of these words off of my chest. And it would also feel good if you would go back and check out what the SportsZu and I had to say about the Bloodline and other WWE takes. Okay.